And now, I shall resurrect Slifer the Sky Dragon!
Oh man, he just brought back an Egyptian god!
Slifer's attack points are determined by the number of cards in my hand. And since I'm holding 4, he now has 4,000 points!
Hey guys, this is Slifer Maniac. Guys, well, we're almost done with the heroes. You see it before you in the virtual world arc. Next up is the deck profile that will showcase to you from Serenity Wheeler. Now, we were about to step in on all of the beginners, and after my opinion, the beginner, the most washed up beginner of all, in all Duel Monsters arc, I would even suggest is Serenity Wheeler. She never had a deck, she never touched any cards, she just learned the basics in theory from Tristan Taylor during the Battle City arc. While they were traveling, she was still blindfolded as she was recovering from her operation on her eyes in order to see again. And in comparison to Tristan Taylor, who himself had a deck and had at least a couple of duels, she didn't have anything at all. But that made me gave me more surprise that the deck that I tested already, always, I'm testing them with test hands before making my final judgment. It's no over-the-top deck profile for the gold format. It's not only even good, it's okay, you can survive with it. It's very much defense in nature until you pop out your fusion materials and then eventually bring about your Saint Joanne back right onto the field in order to defeat your enemy or opponent. Yeah, so that is the basic strategy around this deck. It's through and through. You have your light fairy type monsters and some earth type monsters as well. But without further ado, I just hop into it and don't waste any time. So the deck profile of Serenity Wheeler, the little sister of Joey Wheeler, in the virtual world arc. Of course, I also had to make some additions in here, like I always have to. I had to take some monster, spell, and trap cards from the computer games, as well as make some assumptions from my own creativity as well. So to start off, and also being her deck master, was the goddess with a third eye. You see it? Light attribute, 4 stars, a fairy type monster, 1200 attack, 1000 defense, and this card has the special ability to, instead of one of random fusion material materials, this can be card can be taken instead, and the card's name becomes the fusion monster. Well, and of course, if you have one fusion monster material, then this card can be the vice versa opposite of the other fusion material monster which you need. So to make a long story short, this card is also essential in order to get your Saint Joanne eventually out on the field. And of course, this one was her deck master, so I put it in there as a 3-off. Then a card which I took one of the games, but also has an enemy effect. It's the Unhappy Maiden, a light attribute, 1 star, 0 attacks, 100 defense, a spellcaster type, and if this card is as a result of battle put to the graveyard, the battle phase ends immediately. So very handy in order to stall. We need stall possibilities in this deck until we finally get our Saint Joanne out, and until then we try to protect our life points as well as our monster board, of course. Then I made some assumption, which is the Magician of Faith. Also light attribute, 1 star, a spellcaster type, 300 attack and 400 defense. And flip effect monster, of course, very famous, most iconic and favorite card of Tia Gardner. And of course it has the famous flip effect, and if it is flip face up, then you can recycle 1 spell card from a graveyard and put it to your hand. I thought it would be also very much practical for this deck, as we might need to recycle our polymerization and to redo the whole thing. Shadow Tamer, Earth attribute, 3 stars, warrior type, 800 attack, 700 defense. Flip effect that it got works like that. Take control of 1 face up fiend type monster on your opponent's side of the field until the end of the turn. So this one she possessed in her deck. She also played it face up in face up attack position, which is not so good for this card because it's very much weak and it's in nature, and its effect works of course as a flip, so we have to put it in face down defense position first. So yeah, there we go. And so now a very important card, the Forgiving Maiden, which is a light attribute, 4 stars, 850 attack and 2000 defense. Now with the OCG artwork. I think this artwork we also saw on the show, but I'm not pretty sure. Yeah, I put this one also in there as a 3-off. Of course, it does have an effect, which is, of this face-up card is a tribute to return 1 of your monsters destroyed in battle during this turn to your hand. So also good recycle effect right there. Also it's a 3-off with 2000 defense. A good stalling option for this deck. And one of the key essentials for this whole deck, as it is one of the fusion materials you need in order to fusion summon your Sankt Joanne. Princess of Tsurugi, one of the cards which she had in her deck during one of the computer games. So I put it in there because I thought it would match her, yeah, also her cards that she would put in there, because she basically had many women monster cards in here. With attribute, 3 stars, warrior type, 900 attack and 700 defense. And flip effect, put 500 points damage onto your opponent's life points for each spell and trap card on your side of the field. There we go. So a little bit good effect damage engine while you're stalling in order to get your materials out. Then Whim of the Goddess, 3 stars, light attribute, fairy type, more fits even more into this deck, of course. But she doesn't only have fairy types, she mostly has fairy types, but also warriors and one or other spellcaster. 950 attack, 700 defense, and once per turn you can toss a coin and choose heads or tails, and if you call it right, then you double the attack sets of this card during the whole turn, and if you call it wrong, then you have to half it. So it's a little bit risky there. You might say this element comes from her brother, clearly, because Joey Wheeler had many of those risk type effect cards in his deck. Witch of the Black Forest, which I think, I don't know if we saw it in her hand or she played it even out. I don't recall it that well, but dark attribute, 4 stars, spellcaster, 1100 attack, 1200 defense. If this card is put up to the graveyard, of course, you can choose 1 monster from your deck with 1500 attack, defense or lower, and place it into your hand. I had this card back in the day also in my deck, and many times I put Jinzo into effect by this very effect, because Jinzo has 1500 defense. It's not about the attack stats, but about the defense stats with this monster's effect. Fire Princess, she played it out. Fire attribute, 4 stars, 1300 attack, 1500 defense, and it's also got an effect. You put damage per 500 points on your opponent every time that you gain life points. A card which I think also Lecter had, which we comment to also in this arc. A little bit later. And I don't remember that well. No, Tia didn't have it because Tia had, I think it was Fire Sorcerer. Yeah. So, Red Archery Girl, a card which she had in her deck in the game, in one of the computer games. A typical Pegasus card, but of course with 4 stars with this, female monster type will also fit. Aqua type, water attribute, 1400 attack, 1500 defense. There we go. Lady Panther, she also played out, took into battle against Nezbitt. Earth attribute 4 stars, beast, warrior type monster, 1400 attack, 1300 defense, and its effects works like that. Offer this face-up card as a tribute to return one of your monsters destroyed in battle during this turn to the top of your deck. So like similar like Forgiven Maiden, but just with returning it the card on the top of your deck, and this card works like recycling it back to your hand. So Lady Panther I also got in there as an least as in 2 of, and I have to give it a little bit better order right there. The next card is one of the 2 or 3 essential monsters in this deck because it's essential in order to bring out your Sangjuan, which is Mary the Fallen One. Dark attribute 5 stars, fiend type monster, 1700 attack, 1200 defense, and the effects works like that. If you discard it to the graveyard or put it on the graveyard, under which circumstances, whatever, you gain 200 life points and each on your standby phases. Of course, it works also very well within the combination with 5 Princess, which then also puts 500 points effect damage if your life points are going up onto your opponent. Of course, Marie the Fallen One, at least there's 2 of them there to make it more probable to bring out your Sanctuary very fast. You might also put it in 3 of, but I think 2 of would also be enough. Then Guardian Angel Joanne, a card which she didn't possess, but as she has Sanctuary, also thought it would be probable or appropriate to also put this one in here. It's since it is in light attribute fairy type with 2800 attack and 2000 defense, the very same stats which Sanctuary got, but I thought it would be a better possibility if she also owns this one. So this one has also, of course, 7 stars. Yeah, and its effect works like that. If this card destroys a monster by battle and put it to graveyard, you increase your life points equal to the ground base attack stats of the destroyed monster. So also an engine which works with 5 Princess and another mechanics that works with increasing your life points. Last but not least is Wing Weaver. I think also a card which either we saw it in her hand or it wasn't, or it was in one of the computer games. So like 7 stars, light attribute, fairy type monster, 2750 attack and 2400 defense. I thought it would make sense that she at least would have 2 boss monsters besides Sanctuary. You might criticize me now for this being a little bit overpowered, but it's not. Like I said, I tested it with test hands and it's still not good. It's okay. So this is my monster lineup, and let's get into the spells. I have to spoil a little bit because I'm lacking polymerization a little bit, so I have to order a couple of them, and since I'm not having enough, I'm just having just few of them, which I'm will be needing for many Jaden decks. I'm not having enough yet, so I didn't put them in here, but yeah, normally I would, and I would also recommend for you guys to make it more probable in order to bring out your fusion monster to have polymerization at least 2, maybe 3 times. So there we go. Magic Reflector is first off in this list. I'm not sure, but I thought I saw this card in her hand. it works like that. Select one magic card that remains face up on your side of the field and put one counter on it. If the select card is destroyed, the counter is removed instead of the card being destroyed. So it's a good perseverance possibility and option for cards like Toon World or other continuous spell cards. Or, for example, also field spell cards. Then Core of the Sanctuary, which she had in her deck in one of the computer games. It's a field spell card, of course, and it is a good tactics in order to bring your defense of your monsters up, as we of course want to stall a couple of rounds in order to bring all the needed components in our hands to bring out the Sanctuary, or maybe at least the Guardian Joanne. Yeah, like I said, increase defense stats of all monsters in defense position by 500 points, and as a field spell card, it's all, for all of your monsters, of course. Then I gave him a come on, how is it called? Sanctuary in the Sky. Also a field spell card, which also Magic Reflector would work like for that one, as for example, as also of course for this one as a field spell card. Battle damage that one player that has possesses and controls a fairy type monster during the battle of this monster, which has a fairy type, is reduced to 0. So yeah, like if we regard how many fairy type monsters she got, it's very inconvenient thing to do to have this card in here. Of course, boosts her deck considerably. Scroll of Bewitchment, an equipped spell card. Activate this card by declaring one attribute. The equipped monster becomes that attribute. So of course you can, if she does have a spellcaster or a warrior type monster, and you can declare it a fairy type monster, and then this card's effect also will succeed to put into effect. So also Reeling Light to stall for 3 rounds for your opponent not to attack, or to prohibit her to attack. Horn of Light, a good defensive measure. An equipped spell card, a monster which is equipped to this card increases its defenses by 800 points. If this card leaves the field and put it in the graveyard, you can pay 500 life points and put it on the top of your deck. So also a good recycling effect right there. Reign of Mercy, a card I think either we saw it in her hand or in one of the PC games, because this card was it has of course the ability to increase your life points, but also decrease the life points of your opponent at the same time. So if you put this in combination with Fire Princess, it also would be not that bad, because then he or she might lose 500 life points, and maybe then if you activate 1 or 2 more spell cards, then it's even a disadvantage for your opponent. Graceful Charity, which I don't think she played out, but I'm not sure. If she did, there we go. If she didn't, it would fit all the way to her. Of course, another staple to like have draw power in here. Draw 3 cards from your deck, then discard any 2 cards from your hand. Monster Reborn, classical staple, is all needed in all decks, in my opinion. In order to special one monster from the graveyard, either player's graveyard and face up attack or face up defense position. Change of Heart, in order to give this deck a little bit boost, like to control an opponent's monster for 1 turn. So this is it, guys. This is up the spell cards. I don't think she played Pot of Greed. If she did, consider it also to be in here, as well as I recommended to you 2 parleys at least, but even 3 would make sense in this deck. So this is the spell lineup right there. Let's get into the traps. Trap cards, very straightforward. I gave her... Oh, I did forget about one monster. He also this card was also in there because we had the Unhappy Maiden and this is the Unhappy Girl, I think, which also is a light type monster, but in spellcast type 4 and attack 300 defense 2 stars, and its effect works like that. As long as the card is face up as attack position on the field, this card cannot be destroyed as a result of battle. And a monster which battles with this card can not attack nor change its position as long as this card is face up on the field. So very good. If your opponent has a strong boss monster, then you can, with this card, face up attack position, prohibit it from attacking and changing its position. So like if it's battled, if it thinks it could battle this card. I just forgot about this card, but it isn't here. So yeah. So now about the traps. Very straightforward. Like I said, I gave her 2 Abokus. A card which Tier Gardener normally had in her deck, but of course it reduces all battle damage for 1 turn to 0. Then I gave her a Mirror Force, which I think she didn't possess. Also, of course, I got Board Breaker right there in order to destroy all face-up attack position monsters on your opponent's side of the field. The only trap card I think we saw was Bad Reaction to Smoochie, which is a continuous trap card. As long as this card remains set up on the field, the effect of increasing your opponent's life points is negated and changed to inflict the same amount of points and direct damage to your opponent's life points. So, because of this card, you could also put Reign of Mercy in there as a 3-off, because then Reign of Mercy wouldn't increase the life points of your opponent, but yeah, put it on in equal damage instead. Guys, this artwork is a bit creepy, isn't it? All the ghost hands surrounding this innocent little girl. So, this was, I think, the only one that we saw in her hand. 3 Numerous Healer, which also has the effect you can activate this card if your life points are damaged. You increase your life points by 1000 points, and you increase your life points by 500 points for each Numerous Healer card in your graveyard. That's why I put it also in here as a 3-off. Also would recommend it because it would make all the sense in the world in this specific deck. Then 1 Enchanted Javelin, which is my adoption because it's of course puts equal to 1 attacking monster's stats, equal life points to you. So if you have a defense position monster, then it is maybe destroyed, but you also have did increase your life points by the attacking monster's attack stats. But if she or she attacks and you suck, you might say the attack stats give it to your life points, and then the attack still remains. Then it's like balancing itself, like the attack minus the increasing by life points, so it makes the attack futile. Then World Suppression, I think a card which she had in one of the games. You can activate this card when a field magic card is activated, negate the field magic card during the turn this card is activated. You have to have also in here some like dilettantic cards in here which are too specific to be in a very good deck. And Deal of Phantom, last but not least, also an assumption which I made. Select one monster face up on the field, increase the selected monster's attack by 100 points for each monster in your graveyard. During the turn this card is activated, number of monsters applied when this card is activated. So yeah, you can increase the attack stats by every monster card of the graveyard by 100. Due to your monsters that are on the graveyard for 1 monster on your side of the field. So this is it, guys. Of course, fusion deck would be a St. Joanne, but I don't know where it is. It is like laying somewhere. I sought for it many times, but I did forget where I just put it in. But I have it here somewhere. So you just might imagine it, of course, it's also being in here. So this is it, guys. This is my 41 card, I think, Serenity Wheeler deck profile for the Virtual World arc. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit the like, the subscribe button. Guys, let us reach the real original 100 subscribers because I think some bot or some psycho gave me those subscribers, because I normally have like not even 100, so I don't care. But yeah, we want to grow. We want to be a growing community and enjoy all together our beloved hobby, Yu-Gi-Oh! And as always, I would say, as I'm always telling, I hope for you guys a good evening, a good morning, a good midday, a good afternoon, whenever and wherever you might witness this one. This is me, your Slifer Maniac, and as always, I say, peace.